ridiculously well. We've done a couple of these things. These are fun to do. Because even though you're Spanish, you are based in sunny Los Angeles.
Likely.
So it's good when we first demo a plugin and review it that we can actually have one of the guys that owns the company.
Exactly.
Come in a little closer to the mic.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Hello, everyone.
So this is Emiliano. And he and Robin, and who's your other partner, which I've only met once?
Jeroen.
Yeah.
He's in Belgium.
He's in Belgium.
He's in Belgium.
He has to come out here. It's only you and Robin here. And yeah, fantastic. We did meet. We met at the NAMM show about 1.5 million years ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago, just with the whole, Dan
Feels
Pemic.
longer.
Just feels the whole world's changed. Okay, so for those of you that want to know, what is different about this plugin? What is different about this plugin is Leapwing have designed a vocal plugin that, well, it's not $200. So at the moment it's $47.
47 bucks on sale. Yep.
So that's good. But it's a sort of, well, you explained it to me earlier. You had a lot of guys and girls in Miami that you said were working and get 2 tracks and vocals to mix.
Yep.
So they've got like a stereo 2-track and they're putting a vocal on it. You wanted to design a plugin that would be just get to the root and solve problems with a vocal and get a vocal sounding good, just like that. So what we've done, so people can see, is we have 4 different songs here of different genres and different mixes. And they're probably ones that you've all heard before in various shapes or forms. And with different vocalists, girls, guys, etc. And we're going to test it out. So the first track we have up here is KT. And she is singing over a track called Hurricane, which is kind of almost like a 50s/60s Motown Stax kind of song. So I'll let you hear a little bit of it. And this vocal, the reason why I like this vocal is because this vocal is actually quite heavily processed. And this is probably going to be, you've got to have a plugin that can deal with unprocessed vocals, slightly processed vocals, and then extremely processed vocals.
Yeah. Kind of like as well, there's when it's unprocessed, as well as maybe it's a good idea if you need to do corrective EQ and then put in the plugin. So kind of like set things for the best chance to sound best,
Yep. Okay. So this one's quite heavily processed, this vocal. And the reason why it's processed is because it's the scratch vocal. We ended up keeping the scratch vocal. I had a 57 and she was on a 57 and she put a scratch vocal down. I think we did like 2 or 3 takes when we were printing whatever parts it was. And then we were like, oh, and we compressed it heavily for our headphones. And then we ended up liking it. Can you turn the audio volume up, please, Eric? Okay, let's grab the plugin. And catchy name, named after a Scottish new wave band.
I just found out.
He just found out. Don't blame him. He's Spanish. He didn't know. Russell says his new band name is Processed Vocals. Yeah, Midjure has got a new band. It's called Processed Vocals. No, it's great. Ultravox is a good name. Hey, if you're gonna go after a name, mate. And I'm doing a distortion pedal. It's going to be called Metallica.
As well, Warren. As always, we can give away a few licenses.
Oh, we'll give away three licenses during this. Nice. So we'll give away 3 licenses. So stick around. Okay. Let's have a listen. So this is the processed vocal that was recorded on the original track. Here it is.
Just off the coast, the waves are crashing. Sirens call us to the rocks. And everywhere the lights are flashing.
So what's interesting about this vocal, and this is a tough one to start on, Emiliano, I'm sorry, but this one is very compressed already. I feel like it's a little bit lispy. There doesn't need to be any gating, so this is a tough one to start on. Yeah, I'm really throwing you in the deep end.
That's how we do it.
Yeah, so this is probably going to be the biggest test, but it's also probably going to be quite indicative of people that are, in a situation where they're being sent a vocal that's been heavily processed. So I'm not going to jump to the compression first of all. I'm going to try out this Air and Harmonics. Now, the Air is what, 12K?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. It's a little bit lispy, this track, in about 7K-ish. So let's see if that affects it.
This is dangerous, but we need to feel the rush. And I keep saying I can't keep playing this game.
So what I'll do, that's nice. So I've got like 29, is that a percentage or?
Just it basically is a percentage of our own scale.
Okay. So I think that's just opened up the top a little bit without the 7K lispiness. Well, actually, it's getting rid of some of that lispiness is what I meant to say.
This is dangerous, but we need to feel the rush. And I keep saying I can't keep playing this game. This is dangerous.
Okay, that's better already. Okay, so the harmonics, tell us a little bit about what that does.
Harmonics, it's going to add second and third order harmonics to the signal as well in this plugin. Since we wanted to make not like a night and day difference, it's going to be subtle, but it's going to add warmth and character and a bit of like, you know, that low mid warmth to the signal.
Right, fantastic.
Increase the mic level right here.
Say it again.
Just increasing the mic level right here.
Okay, fantastic. We can do it here. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. Okay, hopefully that's much better. All right, so let's try the harmonics.
This is dangerous, but we need to feel the rush. And I keep saying I can't keep playing this game. This is dangerous, but we need to feel the rush. And I keep saying I can't keep playing this game. This is dangerous, but we need to feel the rush. And I keep saying I can't keep playing.
Okay, so I think that's an illustration of it working subtly, and I think subtly it does work. I don't know if I would do much more than that, and I don't think there's much need for gating. What do you think?
I think sounds good.
It sounds good. So there you go. Very simple. I mean, let's go for something very dynamic that is in serious need of compression. And I use this vocal a lot for that. As you can see and hear, obviously, but as you can see, this was printed with 0 compression, the exact opposite for going from one extreme to another. So, you know, Lily's voice in this song is super spiky in volume, and then there's moments like this. So have a listen to this. This is an completely unprocessed, recorded without compression.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to.
I mean, I don't know if you can get more dynamic than that. It's like, you got your... Talk about quiet. Let's listen to it one more time.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to. You've got your other one, the one that you go to.
Okay, so I think this is going to be a much bigger test. So let's grab the Ultravox. Okay, I think obviously the first thing to go for is the compressor.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to. You've got your other one, the one that you go to. You've got your other one, the one that you go to. You've got your other one, the one that you go to. You've got your other one, the one that you go to. You've got your other one, the one that you go to. You've got your other one, the one that you go to. You've got your other one, the one that you go to.
All right, I'm going to bring in the harmonics and the air.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to. You've got your other one, the one that you go to. You've got your other.
I don't know if we need some gating on this, but let's find a bit of the vocal where there's some excessive breaths and noise and going on and see whether that's...
I can see through it now. I can see through it now.
I don't think there's any necessity to that. We do have a track in a minute where the singer is playing piano live, and that will be perfect to hear the gate. All right, so this is, yeah, it's a pop vocal. I think it actually takes compression fairly well in context of the track.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to. When my hands are full, you've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding.
That's a good example of what it's doing. So here we've got quite a dynamic peak here, and then a very, very quiet line.
This isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding. This isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding.
Sinner's Rise is asking, where does the compression happen? Is it pre or post EQ? Pre-EQ? Okay, good. So pre-EQ.
You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding.
And give us a little bit of knowledge on attack and release times.
Basically, I hope everyone hears me well. The attack and release of the compression are program dependent. So the attack, it's in the long end of things, and the release in the short timing of the release times. But it's program dependent, so it's depending how much you hit it and how much compression you want to apply. Same thing with the gate; they are both program dependent.
Fantastic. Okay, let's move on to a different track. Now I'm going to go to this here. So this is our good friends Robert John on the Wreck.
Soon as your whiskey touched my lips, you set a fire to my song, and now
It's actually Steve Magora, the keyboard player of Robert John on the Wreck, who's also the keyboard player of Toto. Okay, I'm going to grab... This, I think, is somewhere halfway between the two. It's not as dramatic a need for compression as the previous one. There wasn't really printed with much compression whatsoever, but what happened with it is, you know, Steve's got a much more even, controlled voice. Let's have a listen again.
soon as your whiskey touched my lips, you set a fire to my song, and I'm gonna take it down to heaven. Soon as your whiskey touched my lips.
So tell me a little bit about what's going on here in this nice visual in the middle.
That radar, it's basically, of course, it's a time representation, and you're gonna see there the compression. So if you start basically putting the threshold down, you start seeing a shade of the color. That's basically the gain reduction. And with the gate, it's happened from inwards outwards. You will see that the center of the radar starts to come out.
Right.
So it's a visual cue to see when the compression or the dynamics are being affected.
All right, let's check it out.
Soon as your whiskey touched my lips, you set a fire to my song, and I'm gonna take it down to heaven. Soon as your whiskey touched my lips, you set a fire to my song, and I'm gonna take it down to heaven.
Interesting on the harmonics there. When we used the harmonics on the first vocal, I felt like some of the low mids were coming up in a higher ratio than here, where I actually feel like this is actually doing a better job in the mid-mids, in the high mids.
Soon as your whiskey touched my lips, you set a fire to my song, and I'm gonna take it down to heaven. Soon as your whiskey touched my lips, you set a fire to my song, and I'm gonna take it down to heaven.
All right, I'm going to move on and come back in a second. The reason why I want to move on is because I want to move on to this track, and if you're an Academy member, you'll know it very well. So the piano bleed is actually quite reasonable in this, even though he's actually sitting playing piano, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
It's just that we used the 57. We didn't use a large diaphragm mic. So what I'm going to do here is grab the plugin, obviously. And so far now, what we have 4 instances. It's a good start. He says as you get the wheel of death, the beach ball of death.
Ah, that's a stage one.
Say again.
You open stage one.
Oh, I opened stage 1 and I don't even have it.
We'll arrange that.
Oh, busted. All right, but we're going to see what the gate does because I'm going to compress the vocal. I'm going to do this in solo to sort of see, how it works. Paul says, very satisfying GUI to watch. That's a good thing. We like that. And Dan B says, it draws a pretty flower.
I was blind, didn't know how far I could fall.
So you can tell 57 in front of the piano. So if we bring in some compression and see how much bleed it brings up.
I was blind, didn't know how far I could fall.
So I'm probably exaggerating the amount of compression we need, but that's done deliberately so we can see how the gate works.
I was blind, didn't know how far I could fall. I was blind.
All right, so I've cranked the gate, cranked compression. I'm going to add some air because it's quite sounding.
I was blind, didn't know how far I could fall. If this is love, then I want it all. I never thought I would be caught by love so helplessly again. And I can't.
That's interesting. I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking what I like about Ultravox is how dumb it is, because I'm dumb. That you can just pull down a thing and compress. And then one of the things of Ultravox that I do and don't like is that Ultravox always gives me, and I love Ultravox, don't get me wrong, but it always gives me an excessive amount of low mids whenever I pull it up. Seems to crush the high end. So I think this is, and it has a gate as well. I mean, you've got these two additions, these two elements here, compression and gate, are what Ultravox gives you. But you've got the harmonics and the air, which I think are going to compensate specifically for something that Ultravox does. Because I always end up using Ultravox with an EQ.
Before or after?
Depends.
Yeah.
It depends, because I find whenever I compress something, if I do use an EQ going into it, it's not going to, like even when I use like a bass boost, I'll EQ going into the bass boost. Like I'll high pass, because sometimes on like some of the bass boosts, they bring up excessive amounts of low end, but if I control what's going in, it's more natural sounding than if I EQ it afterwards.
Yep.
Personally, I like to sort of, you know what I mean? If I
Yeah, I
EQ it going into that. Yeah, so on an R bass, for instance, talking about waves, sorry, but I'll EQ like a bass guitar going into it, and then with that 80 boost, it's beautiful, but it doesn't bring up like 40 and 20 and all this excessive rumble. It just focuses it. So, okay, I like this.
I never thought I would be caught by love so helplessly again.
All right, we've been going 20 minutes, and we said we would give away 3 copies, so we better give away one. All right, so what is everybody's like go-to vocal? Like, what's the one plugin that you use on every vocal? It could be an EQ, could be a compressor, could be a delay, could be a reverb, could be anything. What is your one go-to plugin that you always use? Just want to know. There's no wrong answer. Eric will choose. So let us know, what is the one plugin that you use? And please hit the like button and comment and all of those good things. Okay. I'm going to go backwards now. We'll go all the way back. I'm interested to see what people use. The first one, Andre, LA 1176, Nectar, Ultravox, haha, CLA vocal, EQ, Pro Q3, Neutron, Arvox, CLA, Vocal Rider, Arvox, Arvox. Well, basically, a lot of Arvox. So you've got a competitor to Arvox, and lots of people use Arvox. There you go.
There we go.
You've got to have been thinking about that when you made this. No, of course you weren't. All right, we're going to go back to Katie's vocal. I'm going to add a little bit of reverb. Now that you've been listening, everybody's listened to it without any effects on it. Let's grab a bit of verb. And what should we do? We'll grab something generic. We won't use anything fancy. So can't get more generic than that.
Just off the coast, the waves are crashing. Sirens call us to the rocks.
So what I'll do is I'll take a section and we'll listen with and without. So what have we been getting? Nectar, CLA 76, more Arvoxes, Fab Filter. Remember, there's no wrong answer. Eric's going to pick at random. Keep them coming.
And everywhere the lights are flashing, maybe we are falling, maybe we should call the whole thing off.
All right, bypassed.
And everywhere the lights are flashing, maybe we are falling, maybe we should call the...
And just because I'm going to be stupid, even though this is heavily compressed already when I'm print, I'm going to compress it more.
And everywhere the lights are flashing.
That's nice. I'm going to bring the volume down so it's volume matched.
And everywhere the lights are flashing, maybe we are falling, maybe we should call the whole thing off.
All right, so what I like now, actually, just that little extra bit of compression, which isn't much. But what it's done is it's allowed some of the ends of the phrases to come alive. You know, that's, to me, is always the personality, or one of the areas of personality in a vocal, where it's like, I don't know. Like this brings it out.
And everywhere the lights are flashing, maybe we are falling, maybe we should call the whole thing off.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably getting what? Couple of dB?
Couple of dB, yeah, just like tap it.
Tapping it.
And everywhere the lights are flashing, maybe we are falling, maybe we should call the whole thing off.
Quite happy with that, considering it's a 57 processed. And
Sounds
yeah,
great.
yeah, it sounds great. So that was really good. Okay, let's go back to the second song that we had and listen to Lily. And we'll just add the same verb on and let's have a listen.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding. I can see through it now. You think that I'm blind, I'm not blind.
Just going to shorten the reverb. I think it's a little excessive. Let's go down about a second.
You've got your other one.
Okay, I'm going to try a bit of the gate.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to...
It's just helping a little bit with the breath.
You've got your other one.
Because we're using a lot of compression because she's so dynamic, it's helping with the breaths not be quite so insane. Who won, Eric?
Richard Phillips.
Richard Phillips.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding. I can see through it now. You think that I'm blind, I'm not blind.
Okay, listen without.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my
Quite a dramatic difference. One more time. So it's back on.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding.
It's interesting. I can hear the compression working, but it's working in a very modern pop way. So once again, what was your attack and release times on this?
Basically, in the compression, the attack is like a short attack, and the release are long releases.
Yeah.
But the gate is the other way around, like medium long and short release. And the gate is after the compression. So let's say when you put that vocal in that dynamic range, of course the breaths are gonna come up. So that's why you have a gate to like kind of time that out. But a gate again is more, think it as an expander, more than like a hard gate, you know.
Right, which makes sense. It makes sense, especially with this vocal, the way we excessively compressed it. Okay, next, let's go up to here. And we're going to go.
Soon as your whiskey touched my lips.
And this is, we actually compressed this probably a little heavier than we should have. I might back this off now.
Soon as your whiskey touched my lips, you set a fire to my song, and I'm gonna take it down to heaven.
Steve's got a very controlled voice. Actually, since I recorded this about 4 years ago, he's toured a lot, and he's got this extra gravel in his voice that he didn't have. But here he's still a little bit more, you know, choir boyish. It's very clean. So I'm being a bit more aggressive with the harmonic.
Soon as your whiskey touched my lips, you set a fire to my song, and I'm gonna take it down to heaven. And know you're so insatiable, so take me down again. Moaning, screaming, don't pretend. Wanna hear my name through gritted teeth and a heavy breath. Just lose yourself with me and you, and tell me what you wanna do, and we'll dance along the satin till the morning.
Nice. Nice. Any comments?
Yeah, as well, something that I will encourage users to do is to play with the input, because maybe if you
increase those harmonics.
Exactly, and if you want to like change, you know, a bit of like the.
Let's try it. I haven't tried that yet. That's a good idea. I should have thought of that, especially coming from an analog world where I'm always driving things hard.
We push and pull and won't let go. It's a never-ending merry come and go round once more. And know you're so insatiable, so take me down again. Moaning, screaming, don't pretend. Wanna hear my name through gritted teeth and a heavy breath. We push and pull and won't let go. It's a never-ending merry.
This is good for Steve.
We push and pull and won't let go. It's a never-ending merry come and go round once more. And know you're so insatiable, so take me down again. Moaning, screaming, don't pretend. Wanna hear my name through gritted teeth and a heavy breath.
I think for me, I need to high pass that vocal a little bit before it goes in there.
That's one of the things in the manual actually we suggested, especially for like pops and things like this.
Yeah.
But great singer.
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah. No tuning in need on him. So I'm using a free plugin here.
We push and pull and won't let go. It's a never-ending merry come and go round once more. And know you're so insatiable, so take me down again.
Pablo's enjoying it. Says great character going on those vocals with the plugin. Yay!
We push and pull and won't let go. It's a never-ending merry come and go round once more. And know you're so insatiable.
Yeah. Peter, maybe the sibilance is a little bit more pronounced, but not at a point where I'm like freaking out. You know, the vocal that would have really been bad for that would have been Katie's, because Katie's is so compressed. So
This is dangerous, but we need to feel the rush.
because if you just, regardless of the plugin, look at how loud the S's are, you know, that's actually in the print. So any form of compression is going to definitely bring that out. Okay, so I'm going to go, and last but no means least, we're going to go and grab the... Okay, let's do another giveaway. Paul, we did talk about it a little earlier, but we can reiterate it. That's good. So Paul is asking again about the graphics and what it is telling us.
Yeah, again, if you play back the audio, you will see the original radar of the vocal, and then in a grayer, in a more shade, you will see the gain reduction circle. So basically, you see how much is being reduced. And in the inner circle, when it goes out, is when the expander or gate is actually basically starting to act. You like in the previous examples, you could see it. Maybe if Warren plays a bit, I'll...
I can hear you now.
Okay. No, right now, you see that orange thing here? This is the gain reduction, and this is expander when the expander is acting.
I was tired, my mind won't leave me alone.
I see.
Think of it as the line of the expander or gate, but in a circular motion.
Nice.
I was lost, couldn't.
So what are we going to do for another giveaway? We found out what the vocal plugin everybody wants. Oh yeah, please hit the like button, Andre. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a good question. A good question here. What do we want to know? What do you want to know? You're a plugin developer. What do you want to know? What do you want to ask an audience?
I would like to know what's the main challenge when they are mixing vocals.
Main challenge when mixing vocals. Okay, good question.
I was lost, couldn't find my way home. I was tired, my mind won't leave me alone. I was lost, couldn't find my way home. I was tired, my mind won't leave me alone.
Okay, let's listen without the plugin.
I was lost, couldn't find my way home.
That's a line that really illustrates what's happening. Now, let's get the volume balance.
Couldn't find my way home. 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 Couldn't find my way home.
Okay, so they're at similar levels now. So we're not going to get any confirmation bias with the fact it's louder. Okay, so what I like is on that second line is that little additional compression and harmonics is just bringing out some of the subtleties in his voice that you're not hearing otherwise.
I was lost.
So this is without the plugin in.
I was lost. Couldn't find my way home.
Yep. Oh, and just so you know, it is for sale, on sale at the moment for $47. Is there a link below? Do we have a link? There is a link? There is a link. Yeah, there it is. So go down and get the schnizzle if you like it. Get the schnizzle. Get the plugin. All right. So with and without. So without again, sorry.
I was lost, couldn't find my way home. I was lost.
I just put it on.
I was lost, couldn't find my way home.
That's the line for me. I don't know. I'm all about vocals and emotion. I hear like the little cry moments in his vocals so much better now.
Couldn't find my way home.
Like I believe him. Just this whole recording, this guy came in. What's his name again? Why am I blanking, Eric? It's embarrassing. Oh. Embarrassing. It's sorry. He came in 4th on America's Got Talent, so he's stupidly talented, and it is a live recording. And I schnizzle you not. That's the only take we did. We just did one take, and the band was session players.
I love, and especially in this line that you're playing, there is this emotion in the low mids and with the breath and how he controls the end of the words. That it's beautiful.
He's amazing.
Singer. Beautiful singer.
He's an amazing singer. Yeah, one take, no tuning, obviously. Like you could tune this. Try tuning a vocal with piano bleeding into it. I've heard people do it. I get sent live recordings all the time where there is like a singer singing and the guitar's bleeding in, and the guitar goes up in pitch or down in pitch in the middle of the phrase. You ever had that? Because they're tuning the vocal and they're also they're tuning all the bleed of the guitar, and you're listening to the rough mix going, why is the guitar going? It's because they've tuned the lead vocal with a bleed in it. Yeah. That's a whole conversation. There's so much stuff going on at the moment with people talking about tuning, and they're missing so many key points. Please hit the what was the questions? You probably wanted to know. Dear developer, this plugin needs auto gain. Does it have auto gain?
Yes, it does auto gain.
There you go. Do any of these plugins have identify humans' natural tonal ranges? I suppose that's a very subjective thing. People have problems. These are the things that people have problems with: de-essing, compression and sibilance. To make them even with the band and deal with sibilance. I've got to be honest. I am a huge proponent when it comes to when I'm dealing with de-essing. Is I either one manually do it.
Yeah, that's my question. How do you do it?
I do it manually. I mean, most guys I know, there's so many fancy plugins for drum bleed, so many fancy plugins for vocals, and yet, I mean, how long does it take you to go in and gain down S's and breaths? Maybe 5 minutes.
10 if
you're working slowly. Or you can spend like an hour auditioning all the different de-essing plugins that are affecting other parts of the vocal that you don't want to be affected. I've sat with so many great mixers, I'm sure you have as well, and see them do that. They just turn down offending things.
And actually, this is a very good point for a language, because for when I started to work in the more English language, I had to change my way of working in terms of consonants and de-essing. And now working again back into Latin music, you have to pay attention to a lot of like the consonants and and
I got stung. We did a Christian Castro record, you know, Christian Castro.
Of course,
I produced his last or second to last album.
Amazing.
And he was great. Well, he's crazy. Anybody who knows Christian, there's a whole other. Everybody who knows Christian Castro. Who's his main producer he used for like 20 years? Really famous Latin producer.
Armando?
Yeah,
Armando.
Armando.
Yeah.
I had dinner with Armando at AES in New York about 4 years ago. Yeah. It was like 3 months before working with Christian, because I worked with Christian over Christmas. and I can't do a Latin accent, so laugh at me for doing it. I was like, what's it like working with Christian? And he just kind of looked at me and he shook his head a bit and he goes, he's crazy. He's crazy. That was it. And I was like, okay. And
there you go.
He's crazy.
You knew.
But anyway, to cut a long story short, I went in and I did all my details stuff. We took down the T's and the S's and did all that stuff and shaped everything. And then I sent the mixes off to the label and they're like, yeah, it sounds really good, except we don't understand what he's saying anymore. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, you can't take out the S's in Spanish. If it's say a Spanish word with it.
Por ejemplo, Sevilla. Sevilla has to sound Sevilla. If it sounds Sevilla, it's like you don't understand.
Yeah.
So it's especially the manual work. It's mandatory when you are working with delicate consonants and P's and R's are very important as well.
Right.
So.
Or I wouldn't know being English. Our R's are like water.
I had the challenge the other way around when I started working in English.
Yeah.
So.
But at least with Americans, you get the water. Yeah. At least you understand the long R. We have like an R that's about a nanosecond long. Water. All right. So let's do one last giveaway. So we do 3. I love watching you. I love to watch a series of watching you treat real tracks into. I've been thinking about this because I've been watching this massive proliferation of tuning vocals. There's so much. Whoa, reverb. Anyway, I've been watching so many videos with people talking about auto-tune recently. And there's so much stuff that they're, and they're saying the not negative and the positives. And then they've been comparing vocals that have been tuned with vocals of, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And a lot of them are missing some fundamental thing. Like one of the tracks I saw somebody using and said, listen to how they're not in tune to the line. Didn't play the instrumental, which was flat. And so many bands, when I started in a band, I think I didn't have a guitar tuner for a long time. You get you get a tuning fork and go, beep,
and everyone is like
tune to the A, play the harmonic, or you tune to the piano player and the piano was out of tune. I mean, and then of course the classic rock and roll days is they just used to speed up the tape a little bit. They wanted the song to be faster, and the track that this person was using was not at concert. But they weren't playing the track. They were just playing the lead vocal going, see this singer, notice how it isn't dead on the line. And that's true. It wasn't a straight line. It was beautiful, but there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of discussion here. All right. All of these tools are great used properly. So many bands famously, slowed tapes down so singers could hit high notes. Yep. All right. So how about this? What do you want to do? The floor is yours. What's the one thing you really want to know?
I would like to, especially for the people out there, what's the main plugin that they are missing out there? What plugin?
Now every plugin developer is going to be watching this because
let's
what
compete.
Is it? What is the one plugin that all of you think is missing? What's the one that's missing?
How can we help?
How can you help? What is the one plugin? There's no wrong answer. Just tell us what the plugin you think is missing. And Eric, at random, will pick one of you and you will win a copy of this plugin. And if you want to purchase the plugin, look below. There is a link to purchase the plugin. Marvelous. All right, let's go back to the top of all the ones we listened to and turn the plugin on and off one more time so we can hear what it's doing. So here's Katie. This is the signal. This is one that was heavily processed in the recording because it was a scratch vocal, a 57 going through a lot of compression. She was in a vocal booth. She was separated, but we were just tracking the basic elements, and she just wanted to sing along, and she did.
This is dangerous, but we need to feel the rush, and I keep saying I can't keep playing this game.
All right, without the plugin.
This is dangerous, but we need to feel the rush, and I keep saying I can't keep playing this game, but I keep finding myself.
All right, let's move on. I think the main thing for me there is just a little bit more attack on the vocal, tone-wise. The compression's fairly even because the signals originally is compressed quite heavily. So I heard it there, but the main thing I was hearing was, just kind of a little bit more air and bite to it with the harmonics and the, I'm going to do this. I'm going to copy our high passing before the plugin using the comes free with your DAW. All right, so this is Lily's voice, and this is the one that's really dynamic, where she's like peeking out or barely audible. So I'll start it with the off.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full.
That first two lines are so unbelievably dynamic. Now I'll put the plugin on.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full.
That line's probably the biggest indicator.
When my hands are full.
Off.
When my hands are full.
It's pretty much the same volume, and we can volume match this. Let's bring up the overall a little bit, bring this down a little bit. So here's the before.
When my hands are full.
Here's now.
When my hands are full.
Yeah, it's really bringing up that low level one there. So on a really ultra dynamic vocal, what are people answering? Needed a plugin that translates binaural to stereo speakers, sharpening localizational and reducing crosstalk. Interesting.
Interesting.
Never happy with multiband compressors. Cool Edit Pro had a great one bought by Adobe Audition. Sebastian says already much better. Great. Maybe just a good all-in-one type compressor, so I don't always have to pull up multiple plugins. I got to be honest. If I was designing a compressor plugin between you and me, between you and me and yeah, the 10,000 viewers this will end up getting, between you and me, I say this a lot in lots of different ways, and you aren't guilty of this. There's a reason why we love you dearly. You don't spend your whole life with rusty screws and you know what I mean, and VU meters and stuff. As much as look, I like VU meters. I like old pieces of equipment. Of course I do, but I don't really fully understand why plugin companies need to be just emulating. Here's another 1176. I mean, we've got a lot of 1176s. Some are good and some not so much, but we have enough of them. So I do like the fact that you're thinking outside the box and you're not being, there's no dogma. So young people coming into the industry don't feel like they're, I talk about this all the time. The one thing I dislike about a lot of education is wagging fingers. I don't want to, well, you kids don't know what you're doing. Back in the 60s and 70s, we used to know how to make records. And the thing is like the guys mainly guys that are wagging their fingers weren't involved in making those records. And I'm friends with Jack Douglas and Shelley Yakus and Jay Messina, who made all the records they're talking about. And if they are sitting here now, they tell you they did so much work. They would compress so much heavier than people think. They would cut tape, they would edit stuff, they would put mics under drums and reamp them and do this. And
probably they will always trying to be cutting edge, not looking back to what they were doing in the 30s.
Yeah.
So that like looking at the future and trying to do a new thing. Yeah. I always appreciate it, and I'm sure these guys were always trying to do the best with new things and experiment and not being romantic about.
Yeah,
anything.
I mean, I love old gear. I mean, there's a tape machine in shot. I mean, there's a 2-inch tape machine in shot. So don't get me wrong, I love all of that stuff, but I don't. I have a 14-year-old son, and I know that if he comes up and gets into music, he loves Steely Dan.
That's gonna be the studio.
Yeah, he loves Steely Dan, but he also likes stuff that I've never heard of, like bands that are coming out and artists that are coming out. Kids are so much more eclectic, much more eclectic now. They love all kinds of genres. So yeah, I'm definitely looking. So sorry, I went off on a bit of a tangent, but what I think maybe they're touching upon is that idea of maybe having a compressor plugin that's all things, rather than going, oh, here's the modern transparent compressor, here's the LA2 tube sounding one, here's this one that sounds like that, here's that one that has a transformer, here's this one that's, can't we sort of move past that and just have a compressor plugin?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Isn't overly complicated, but does allow, do you want a more vintage setting? Maybe you just literally put a thing, it goes vintage, and then you have an option of like tube, or a tube one or a not tube one, so like a Neve style 33609 style, or an LA2A tube one, a Gates, more of a Fairchild, some options, but all in one place.
Yeah, instead of having
to buy 47 different.
It's a good point. It's a good
I
point.
know that now, I feel like it's overdue because I feel like now, we're talking about reverbs. There's some amazing reverbs. I love that acoustic of reverb we did. It's great. Some neighbors, kind of, Spain,
Yeah,
Italy,
Italy,
kind
yeah,
of.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but I like it, and it's absolutely amazing. I love the echo plate. It was incredible. But I think we're in this place now where, okay, we need to start giving real value to everyone out here and having plugins that do all of the things rather than just going, you need to buy, because you were asking me earlier about subscription models, and I don't know what the audience is here, but I think one of the problems for subscription models is everybody wants one. So a regular professional or semi-professional, somebody who's tracking and making extra income, what are they going to do? Have 47 subscriptions?
And what's in 10 years? Are you owning your tools? Do you not
Yeah.
own your tools?
Yeah.
Future sessions, what's going to happen in 5 years with your plugins?
I mean, yeah, literally, I probably use about 15 or 20 different plugin manufacturers. I obviously have a lot from one source, a medium amount from another, and then splattering, but probably 15. That's probably most people, 10 to 15, including their stock. If every one of those is a subscription at $20 each, that's $200 to $300 a month.
That's up.
That adds up.
Yeah.
And you might be subscribing, but only using 2 plugins from that company. So
That is the challenge for both the company and the users to find like the sweet
Yeah.
spot for that connection.
yeah, totally. So Mac DSP do have a compressor with many different modes in it. Everybody loves Mac DSP. Colin's a very popular person, great guy. UA, I want the quality of UA plugins without the hardware requirements. Surely computers are powerful enough now. Yeah, what do you think of that?
That is I wanted to touch on that point where CPUs, especially with Mac M1 chips, it's just native processing is becoming so powerful that I think in a
Right.
couple of years we are like already running on laptops that they don't get hot, that they don't,
Sure.
and especially for producers that they record vocals in their own space.
Yeah.
Laptops that they don't make a fan noise like the new MacBook Pros with like.
Yeah.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing time for developing new tools.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of change, everybody. A lot of change, and I'm really, really happy about that. And we got a dislike for talking about that. Sorry if we challenge anybody. We weren't talking about any specific manufacturer, but maybe they were like, I only make 1176s. I'm upset with you. Hey, some of the emulations I love, and UA make incredible plugins, and they're a great company to work with and all that stuff. So yeah, it's not about singling anybody out. I think it's just a case of like, it's an inevitability. Almost everything has been emulated now, multiple times. Not only has it been emulated. So who did you choose, Eric?
I chose Ross.
Russell?
Ross.
Oh, Ross.
ROSS.
Ross went, and what did Ross say?
A plugin to change the vocal timbre in an easy mode.
How do you mean? Plug-in to change the vocal timbre in an easy mode. So just like a simplistic way of doing that. I think ultimately we all want usable things, meaning like, can't I just push a button and it sounds good and then I tweak it from there rather than, one of the things I noticed, like from, I presume you sort of started off and you I don't know what in Spain the equivalent of Guitar Center is, but you went to a generic, I don't mean this in a negative way, but just a music store and you buy your first gear. And it used to be, no disrespect to like Alesis, but you would go in and you see the 3630.
Yeah.
And it was like this skinny looking rack mount, and it had what, like 30 buttons on it.
Yeah.
And it was like these little tiny things, and you get it home and you would try to get the vocal sound that you were hearing on all the records that you loved, and they were like the tiny little controls. And then you turn up in a studio and all the professional compressors have like 3 controls on them. And like LA7 1176 has got like a input, output, and then selection knobs. And maybe in a variable attack and release, but you watch the engineer and he never changed it.
Yeah.
He'd always have the attack set about here and the release over there. Always the fastest release time with a slower attack time. And you're like, he's never changing that.
Yeah.
And except if they were doing like the nuke setting and they wanted like that, that sound. But most of the time you realized, professional gear is actually often simpler than semi-pro gear. And and in the idea of giving value for money, they would often overly complicate things. Yeah. We're going to give you 100 different options to this, and your head would be like,
it's like, do you want 100 different options? Maybe not.
Yeah. So I think that's a challenge. I mean, we're sort of talking a bit here because the challenge is going to be like come up with a compressor plugin that gives you options, but every single one is usable, as opposed to like, here's an emulation of something that requires a degree in neuroscience to figure out how to use.
That's for especially developing Ultravox was the challenge, and always trying to keep our ears open to everyone's feedback, because at the end, started with our Dyne 1 plugins that now we are in version 3, and the new features have been feedback we gather from users like you guys, and we just make it better. But condensing a lot of technology in a few buttons, it takes a village, that they say.
Right. Good. What is village in Spanish?
En pueblo.
En pueblo. Pueblo.
Un pueblo.
Un pueblo. He doesn't even know.
I know, I'm learning now. I'm like, oh.
This is Gonzalez sitting behind us.
Gonzalez.
We worked with this reggae artist from Africa about 2 months ago. He was a really sweet guy, and he comes in, and he's from the Ivory Coast, so he spoke English and French as kind of his first languages, and he spoke his native tribal language as well. So he had these 3 languages that to him were just native. I said to him, what is your first language? And he said, these 3 languages, I speak them equally. He goes, but I also speak German and Dutch and Spanish. And I was like, oh, Eric Gonzalez. So he started fluently speaking Spanish to Eric, like because he's like, this is an African, artist speaking like 7 different languages to Eric, and Eric's like, sorry, I don't speak any Spanish.
That's life, I guess.
So we can tease him without him understanding.
Yeah.
Next time we know what to do.
Do you want to do another giveaway?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do one more giveaway. And thanks everybody who's watching here. I appreciate it. Don't forget you can buy it down below. It's always great having Emiliano here. And I don't know. I just want to ask a dumb question. What DAW do you all use here? What DAW do you use here? It's always interesting. I've asked that question many different times. What is your DAW? No wrong answer. Just let us know. And I'm going to have one more listen to the last one and the last track. Here it is.
I was lost, couldn't find my way home. I was tired, my mind wouldn't leave me alone. I was blind, didn't know how far I could fall. If this is love, then I want it all. I never thought I would be caught by love so helplessly again. And I can't see a reason why for routine under falling skies again. I was sick, I felt that pain in my heart. I would lie in bed at night and dream of you tearing me apart. fell so helplessly again. And I can't see a reason why for routine under falling.
Hey, wait there, Chris. Do you use Pro 24? It's up to Eric. Eric, who'd you choose?
I have chosen Felipe.
Felipe. What does Felipe use?
Logic.
Logic. Ooh, congrats, Felipe. Logic, you won the giveaway. All right, thank you ever so much, Emiliano. That was a fun hour.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about the level at the beginning. We were a little, Eric was a little unprepared. But it's the royal we. We were unprepared. I'm just doing my my Queen wave, which just does that.
So the right angle?
It's just, yeah, it's because they find they're doing after about an hour, they're like, my arm's dropping off, so they just do this. Yeah. Chris is still saying Pro 24. I think Chris is it's stuck. He's stuck in repeat. Pro 24, Pro 24, Pro 24, Pro 24. Thanks everyone. Yeah, check out the plugin. Always amazing to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Warren. Always a pleasure.
Emiliano's a really talented producer, engineer, and mixer in his own right. So that's the reason why it's fun to ask him his opinion. And why we got to talk a little bit outside of the plugin as well. Although he's probably getting texted from his partners. Talk more about the plugin. Talk more about the plugin. Stop talking about vocals. Anyway, check out the plugin. Thank you, Emiliano.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
you,
you.
Eric.
So long, farewell. Auf Wiedersehen.
Adios.
Au revoir.